I'm Jameson.
And I'm Bryson.
Sexting.
Sexting.
That's today's topic. It's basically texting with a twist. Teenagers are increasingly sending photos of themselves naked on their cell phones, through email, through instant messaging. Also, along with pictures, they're also doing video and just sexually explicit text messages. So today we're going to talk about that, and what you as parents and what you can do even just as a friend to help kind of avoid this.
Right. It's kind of a new fad almost among teenagers, and it kind of has to do with this whole the privacy thing is kind of going away. I mean, with Facebook and Twitter and MySpace and all these things,
Lives are becoming more public,
right, and more transparent. Sometimes in a bad way, and one of the ways is this whole visual medium of sending and receiving nude, or semi-nude photos, and some of the statistics are pretty shocking. 20% of teenage girls in the 13 to 16-year-old range have sent nude or semi-nude photos of themselves to somebody else.
That's 1 in every 5
One in
girls.
five. 1 in 5 teenage girls has done that. It's about the same with boys. 18% have done that, and then 39% of all of those teenagers have sent sexually explicit text, whether that's email or text messages or something like that. So it's becoming pretty huge, and we hadn't even heard of the term sexting until a few days ago. And so we thought, well, a lot of you may never have heard of it either, but we felt like, gosh, we gotta get the word out about this and create awareness and give you some practical ways to deal with it.
So it's a big issue. I mean these are really literally teens putting themselves on public display. Text messages that were meant for just a boyfriend or just a girlfriend are being distributed to an entire school in some cases, right. And in even one case leading to the girl's suicide.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it really is. I mean, with the click of a button, that photo can be shot out to everybody in the school.
Not to mention being sentenced with
child pornography. Yeah, they're trying to figure out
as a teenager.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to figure out how these laws work, because legally, if you send a photo of an underage person in the nude, doesn't matter how old you are, you're distributing child pornography.
You're a sex offender.
And so it's just crazy. So anyway, what we wanted to do in this segment, in this podcast, is to create awareness and give you some ideas on how to deal with this.
So first off, we've got Bryson. He was talking to Scott McClurg from Covenant Eyes. And most of you know Covenant Eyes is a computer software to kind of provide accountability online. But Scott and Bryson talked a little bit about what it means now for the whole cell phone generation.
Right. So let's go to that interview. We're gonna share with you a short segment from that, and then later we're gonna post the full interview online so you can listen to it. So let's go to Scott McClurg in this interview.
Well, this podcast is really about the whole sexting issue, and we're starting to see a lot about it in the news, and people are talking about it a lot. I mean, is this something that you all at Covenant Eyes are aware of?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that we've been aware of, and actually, as I'm sure you're aware, in the last kind of starting at the beginning of this year, with bringing about with the iPhone and some of the new technology that's come forward, it's taken an even bigger step forward as far as what is this issue of sexting going on, and we're very aware of that here at Covenant Eyes, and we actually deal a lot of people ask us questions about that. We've been talking about it on our blog and really trying to give parents and people some resources.
What are some of those steps that a parent could take?
You have a situation where you have parents who are giving their children these phones that have, basically the iPhone is essentially a computer in your hand. And what they're doing is they're giving their children these phones that have cameras, that have all of these different options, and they're not taking into consideration, the fact that, what really can be done with these phones, what type of information can be distributed. And so you have a situation where parents are giving their children these different phones, some of the iPhone, some just regular phones that, just have a camera and text messaging on them. and they're not, and at that point they're taking a hands-off approach, and they're not educating themselves on what's going on, what are their children doing on these phones. In the end, it still comes back to, and this is one of the things that we talk about, especially on our blog, is that Covenant Eyes is one piece of the puzzle. It's a tool. It's not meant to be the be all and end all solution to looking at what's on the computer. What we've designed the program to do is basically be a springboard into communicating with whoever it is using the program. We want to get people talking. So if it's a mother and a father who want their son or their daughter to be accountable on the internet, what we're really trying to do is, we're going to give them the best possible tools we can to let the mom and the dad know what the son or the daughter is doing on the computer. But at the same time, what we're really trying to do is get mom and dad to talk to their son or their daughter and educate the parents on what their children are doing on the internet. Because we can have the greatest tool in the world, and without that factor, without that communication going on between the two parties and that mentoring going on, then the program is just a program, and it's not going to do what it is that we want it to do for them.
All right. Well, that was the interview with Scott, and we just really appreciate Covenant Eyes. They're doing awesome stuff, and so really encourage you to check out covenanteyes.com. Some great stuff there. So, what Scott gave us a couple of ideas. What are some other ideas, ways that you, especially as parents or as friends or mentors or whoever, how can you deal with this issue of sexting?
Number one, talk to your kids. Really being proactive with your relationship with them is key. I mean, if you're involved in your kid's life, chances of this stuff happening are far and far less.
Right. So that's like huge. Talk to them about it. Number two, you can disable the multimedia, the ability for them to send multimedia on their cell phone. And that's an option that you can call the carrier and say, hey, I want to turn off the data plan, basically, that allows them to send photos or video like a text message.
Well, number three is go ahead and install some accountability or filtering software on their computer. As you heard with the interview with Scott as well, they're trying to make steps towards getting some software for phones as well. But go ahead and download Covenant Eyes, put it on the computer, put it on their computer, and check. Keep an eye on their computer. Don't let them have laptops in their room alone.
Let's see. The next idea is do spot checks on your teenager's cell phone bill. What you can do is you can kind of go through and look for spikes in the data, like the data traffic, and basically what that is. Like, you can see the text messages that they send. So let's say they send 800 text messages a month or whatever. But you can also see the amount of images or video that they send, and it'll kind of, usually it's a graph that'll show you that. But look and see if there's big spikes in it from month to month. You can tell that they're sending more sending or receiving photos or videos.
Number five, just remember that this sexting deal can do some lasting damage. A lot of the kids who have been involved in it have been slapped with some pretty hefty charges, which they're working on, discerning right now whether or not these teenagers should actually be registered sex offenders or not. But that's not a road that you want to go down. Just explain to your kids the dangers that are potentially involved with doing stuff like this. Yeah, there's a huge chance they won't ever get caught, but that little chance that they will, is that worth it?
Yeah, or their picture is going to end up, on some crazy web page somewhere. And then the last one is also the first one. Talk about it. Talk to your kids. If it's your kid you're worried about, talk to them about it. If it's somebody that you're mentoring, talk to them about it. That's the most important thing. And if you haven't had the sex talk yet, we have some resources that are coming out really soon for fathers and sons and for mothers and daughters to help jumpstart that conversation. So talk about it. That's the most important thing you can do. Thanks again, and we hope this was helpful, and we will see you next week.
Thanks a lot.